What is good? We're back. We got another live Dynasty Superflex Tight End Premium Startup Mock with rookies for your pleasure. As per usual, this mock is brought to you by Fast Draft. Make sure when you check out Fast Draft that you use promo code FFD. You will double your first deposit up to $25 with said promo code FFD. So make sure you check that out. Fast Draft is the app. It's the fastest, easiest fantasy app on the planet. I got my man Chev riding with me tonight on the live show. What's good, man?
Oh man, you know what? If I was any better, I would be twins.
Ooh, there you go. There we go.
Twin.
That might just be the caffeine talking. Talk to me in about 45 minutes.
I feel
We'll
you.
be here.
I feel
How much
you.
time you got, buddy?
So we got this.
How much time you got, brother?
We got this draft kicking off here. We had Jaden Daniels going at the 101. So, almost as hot as your Travis Hunter at 3 in that last live mock.
They got tight about that in the comments, didn't they?
A bunch of grown men mad about a fantasy football pick.
Yo, there was 17 comments underneath it. I was like, we have arrived.
So if he goes and plays wide receiver full time, you gonna come back and apologize, or are you just gonna act like that?
Nah, I'll never hear it from you.
Oh,
My middle name is Petty Murphy, so I'm gonna be back in the comments looking for that guy.
oh man. All right. So we had Jaden Daniels go 101. We had Josh Allen 102, Lamar 103, Hurts 104, Jamar Chase 105, Jefferson 106, Burrow 107, Patty Mahomes 108. And I can call him Patty Mahomes because he lost the Super Bowl. You're not getting no Patrick from me after that. Malik Neighbors 109, CeeDee Lamb 110, Bijan 111, and Marv Harrison on the early wraparound here. So we got DWM going to double tap here and kind of see what's going on. But we did a little Patreon last night and was talking with the boys, and I asked the question of, we'll go both ways with it. But Joe Burrow went at 1-7 here. I was on the clock in the most recent one that we did as far as the mock drafts. And at 104, I was faced with Hurts or Burrow, and I really took a while to make that decision. How do you feel about, how many more quarterbacks besides Burrow do you really want? I mean, there's obviously Mahomes is at the back end of this thing now. I think that will change. That will bounce back once you maybe get this offense in front of him a little bit, but Burrow had a huge bounce back and has just got that same killer instinct as Patrick Mahomes, man. So, can you make a case for Burrow over any of those other 4 guys that are up there, or do they have to have legs?
I think that we've seen now that you have to have a 400 to 500 yard rushing baseline or double-digit touchdown upside, like a Jalen Hurts, like a Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen only threw for 3,700 yards last year, but he gives you 12 touchdowns and 500 yards rushing on the ground, thus getting you, back into that top 3. First time he's finished outside of the top 2 in four years. So I think that, as long as Jalen Hurts has a tush push, you got to take Jalen Hurts. I think Joe Burrow's this generation's version of Aaron Rodgers. He's going to give you 4,500 yards. Well, I mean, he's going to give you about 4,000 yards and 30 to 35 touchdowns in any year where he plays at least 15 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's going to give you another 200 to 300 and 2 to 3 touchdowns on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's still correct to take Jalen Hurts. I think that if we get another nuke season like we got from Burrow, though, then I would be open to having that conversation. But
yeah, also
he's about to lose T. Higgins, so I don't know what that looks like.
They did just say they're open to franchise tagging him again. So
what's that? That's $33 million this year. It was 22 last year, so it'll be 33.
Yeah,
going into this year.
So I don't know. Interesting though. Interesting that there's at least some conversation surrounding it a little bit now. But Burrow QB3, Hurts QB8. Obviously, Saquon, taking a little load off of Jalen Hurts's maybe rushing floor or ceiling, however you want to look at that. All right, let's reverse it, though. Let's go actual football. How many quarterbacks are you taking before Burrow?
The 3 that I don't even know if I would take Jaden Daniels over him in real football.
I think it's just Mahomes.
Like-
I think Mahomes is the only one I'm taking over. If I got a real football team that I'm starting and I'm building a football team, like he's the biggest killer out of all those guys outside of Mahomes, and we've just seen Mahomes do it more often and get to the overall achievement, right? Or am I off base there?
No, I would say he would be third. I would go Pat. Yeah, 4. Josh, Pat, Lamar, Burrow. Not in that order, but like he would be 4th.
So you would take,
Behind
and,
those
it's not fair to pin it all on Lamar to not be the winner, but we've seen Burrow overcome big obstacles throughout the playoffs, and have we seen that happen for Lamar yet, though? Whether it's his fault or not.
We haven't seen that happen. We haven't seen that happen yet. I think that if you're going to look at the totality, okay, so Burrow, yeah, he has the worst defense. Lamar has done more with less on the offensive end up until this year. I mean, he was the engine that drove the offense. He didn't have a Jamar Chase. He didn't have a T. Higgins. So for me, I'm leaning towards Lamar because he's going to give you that X factor of being something that the defenses can't account for, which in Burrow, that's his ability to anticipate and figure out defenses pre-snap. Whereas Lamar, it's just like, hey, we got everything plotted out, and this guy's just better than the 11 guys that we have on defense.
Yeah. Yeah, Burrow's, to me, is just like if the game is a one-possession game, it's Mahomes and Burrow going into that final drive or whatever that I feel the most comfortable with that are going to get it done. And with all fairness to Hurts has been awesome in big games as well. Obviously.
But I mean, we're doing the thing. I mean, he's getting bumped down the same way that Brock Purdy gets bumped down in these discussions when you talk about elite quarterback play because of what he's surrounded with. He's got the best run game.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the best offensive line. He's got the best defense. And, it's more or less him being the conductor as opposed to being the actual, the driver.
Yeah. Right. All right, let's jump back into the second round here. We had Marv leaving off at the 112 there, and then we went Breece Hall at 2-1. So DMW looks like he may have gotten autoed on one of those picks, probably Christian McCaffrey, if I had to pick one, because that's very early for Christian McCaffrey. So 2-2 is Puka, 2-3 St. Brown, 2-4 Brock Bowers. It's 1.5 tight end premium. Herbert's 2-5, Caleb Williams 2-6, Gibbs 2-7. CJ Stroud 2-8, Genty 2-9. Shout out to Hoodie, always up in these things. Brian Thomas going at 2-10, and Nico and Drake London round the second round out, and then we got McCaffrey, which is that's not a real pick. That seemed like an auto, and then Barkley 3-2, Drake May, Lad McConkey 3-4, Garrett Wilson 3-5, JSN 3-6, Kyler 3-7, and AJ Brown 3-8. So. Chev, what's the first thing that sticks out to you here on how this is unfolding? Like, dislike, early, late? What's the first thing that jumps off to you?
I can't understand for the life of me why Breece Hall would be at the front end of the second round and Drake London's at the back end of the second round. Like, Drake London combined with Captain Durag, I feel like that's a recipe for success. I mean, he finished as wide receiver 5. Like, we bought in at a premium last year for a guy who's never finished inside the top 30. We bought in at a premium, and he returned profit. And then he got an actual quarterback and had 181 air yards during championship week against Washington. Yeah. And then he goes out the next week and he puts up 169 yards or whatever it was, and a touchdown or 2 touchdowns. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
If Bo Nix had another weapon like Cortland Sutton in the offense, we would be going absolutely ballistic for Bo Nix. Drake London has the burner in the Captain Durag, Michael Penix, for those of you who don't know, has Drake London, bona fide alpha wide receiver, can play the ball in all 3 dimensions. He can separate horizontally, he can separate vertically, and he dominates at the catch point. And then he has Darnell Mooney as well. So, like, what are we doing? Like, why are we not higher on Drake London? There's so much ambiguity with the situation in Breece Hall. Sorry for talking so long about this, but that to me stuck out big time.
I will say typically Breece is in the third. So it is usually Drake in front of as far as average, draft position. It's usually Brees.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about drafting Brees. I love the 3rd round Brees. But as far as any of the other players in that round, are you taking Drake over Brian Thomas or Nico Collins or St. Brown or Genty?
Whoa.
All right.
Hey. Yeah, I'd take him over Genty. I'd take him over
Okay.
Genty.
So you trade the 1-1 for
just for Drake London. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, that's for me. 23-year-old alpha profile wide receiver tied to a young quarterback in an ascending offense. I would yes.
Don't forget the do-rag.
Don't forget the powers of the do-rag. It's like Steve Young's special underwear that he wouldn't wear because it gave him powers.
Don't forget.
The do-rag gives Michael Penix powers. It's like +5 throw power on Madden.
Where do you think he stores all those? Is it just in a drawer?
Just probably just got like a little like
a tote?
One of those little portable. What's the deal? Like a shed where he's just got, but he's got it in the middle of his house, and it's just do-rags, boxes and boxes of do-rags.
So many. He's got to have a sponsor at this point, right?
If he doesn't, guys, your team is missing a tremendous opportunity.
Yeah, he should just have his own.
Come see old legendary ball knower. We'll get you all marketed up for some do-rag promotion.
Let's go. All right, so kicking off the 3rd, we got the reversal, and we had that was the CMC. We had Barkley, we had May, McConkey, Wilson, JSN, Kyler, AJ Brown, Tet, McMillan. So Hoodie starts off with Genty and Tet. Then we got McBride at 310, which seems like a nice value for tight end premium. Nick's at 311, so he's climbing up there. Nick's ahead of Jordan Love, and then Jordan Love and Rashee Rice back-to-back, and then Achane. So I like these 4 boxes in this corner over here. Then we got Mayfield, Taylor at 4-4, Amarion Hampton, 2nd rookie running back off the board. There's Captain Durag at 4-6, Michael Penix, and then Roma Dunze. His teammate in college goes right after that. Then Kyron Williams, Brock Purdy at 409, and we are on the clock here. And then there goes Trevor Lawrence at 410. So Dak is young, probably the quarterbacks that everybody likes still available there. So there goes Goff, Laporta, and Brandon Ayuk on the turn. How do you feel about Kyler Murray returning in this second season with Marv and all that? Are you in on a 3.7 ADP for Kyler Murray?
I can't be, brother. I absolutely can't be. I don't feel like everything was set up for him to smash last year, and it was just kind of meh. Like it can get better. It absolutely can get better. I think that we're seeing that was probably a median outcome for Kyler, if not closer to a ceiling. Like, he didn't run. He wasn't running. That's part of the appeal. That's part of the sexy for the little guy.
Right.
Like, you got to run. Now, it was awesome. Like, I was all in on Trey McBride, so it was awesome for me. For the most part, it was awesome. Trey McBride, outside of not catching touchdowns when they're thrown to him in the end zone, and then bouncing off of his helmet, it was really fun to have Trey McBride. I would probably, at this point, in all seriousness, I would probably take Bo Nix.
Yeah, I mean, that was a question that we got, a fair amount. Like, what, halfway through the season, like what would it take to go from Bo Nix or from Kyler Murray to Bo Nix? Like, what can you get extra in between? And now that gap is certainly closed. I can't argue with you. All I can say is I can give Kyler a little bit more of a longer leash because I've seen him be in the top 5 of quarterback scoring overall, and not that I don't think Bo Nix can get there, because I certainly do. Like, if they add a Loveland or if they add Devontae Adams to that team, or they add Deebo Samuel to that team, or somebody, another interesting piece. Deebo seems very interesting to kind of Denver and how they might want to maybe do some things. And you got Mims and Franklin that can stretch the field, and then you find a tight end and another running back. I don't disagree with you. I think the question for me, and it's much like Anthony Richardson, is are you coming back into this season and taking it as serious as possible? And I felt like on the exit interview, watching Kyler Murray, that it seemed to me, and I have no inside knowledge, obviously, but like it did seem like maybe something was like, damn, we probably should have been a little better this year. I should have been a little better this year. Let's go work, and let me get with Marv, and let's go figure this out. Now, will that happen? The proof is in the pudding, and he hasn't been the from what we understand from the outside looking in, of the hardest worker. I would put it that way. And if he's not going to run around, you got to be a little weary of that ADP, I think. But man, when Kyler is humming, he's one of the hardest quarterbacks to deal with in the league, because he does throw a great ball. He can put it wherever he wants, and he's so quick and agile and fast. And when you're just missing in the pocket, and then he's breaking 10, 15, 20-yard runs all over the place, and you're like, damn, there's just really nothing you can do with this guy. I don't want to miss out, so I'm okay with taking him there, but I understand the Bo Nix love. Jordan Love seems to be falling quite a bit too. He was a high second rounder, a couple months ago.
So in both of these cases, I think Jordan Love, I'm even more concerned with, because of the philosophy shift that we saw from Green Bay when they went from being a 500 team to winning 11 or 12, to going on that 6 or 7 game win streak, or going 6-1 over the course of 7 weeks or whatever it was. They shifted from allowing Jordan Love to just have autonomy with the ball in the offense to being one of the more run-centric teams in the league. I think they were almost dead last in pass rate over expectation once like week 4 or 5 hit. And I think that's where they're going to stay unless they land a number 1 wide receiver like Jacobs alluded to. So I think for me, I'm really concerned about the ceiling for Jordan Love, even though, his touchdown rate was a little bit, his interception rate went up and his touchdown rate dropped a little bit. And we regressed a little bit in terms of, rushing touchdowns. So I don't really know what to make of him. I think in, where he went, I would rather have, if you're going to take a shot on a guy right there, I would rather have a guy like Baker Mayfield or Michael Penix, because their pass rates are going to be higher. And Tampa Bay had one of the most successful run games, 146 yards a game last year, but Baker was the catalyst behind it all, and he was dealing, and he has a rushing floor now, apparently. So yeah, I think that I just don't really have a great read on what to do with Jordan Love moving forward.
Yeah, I'll chalk some of it up to maybe, nothing being able to really get going, because it did seem like there was just like 3 injury chunks in that season for him where, he just maybe was never quite right and never really got into a healthy rhythm. So I'll give you a slight pass there, but I gotta say that I'm quite intrigued at 312. All right, so are you just out at that ADP?
I think I would rather go with Penix. I'd rather go with Purdy. I'd almost rather have Jared Goff, because there's more clarity of what the intentionality is with the offense going forward. That offense won games when they took the ball out of Jordan Love's hands and put it into Josh Jacobs' belly and said, go make stuff happen. And I think that in the NFL, like real football wise, like you got to win games in order for coaches to keep their job. And they started winning when they took it out of Jordan Love's hands and gave it to Josh Jacobs. So that's what gives me the cause for pause. And there's no Christian Watson. Apparently they don't really know what to do with Jaden Reed. Like, it's like, oh, this guy's great with the ball in his hands. Let's give him 4 touches a game. So I don't really know what to make of their passing offense or their passing options.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting to see how they address the wide receiver position for Jordan Love and them, because it does seem like they need, they're not where the Bills are, where you can kind of just, you can divide it amongst the parts, or where Patrick Mahomes is throughout parts of his career. Love might need a little bit more of a structure of, hey, I got this go-to guy, and then we can do, like, I like the sum of the parts. I think you just need one more. You need a dominant part. Like Reed's good. I think Wicks could be decent.
Right.
I think Kraft's good. I think Musgrave has a chance to be good if he could be healthy. Jacobs is obviously awesome. They got a good offensive line. It's all there, but can we get his guy, his go-to guy? And Romeo Doubs is also good. He'll be kind of a go-to guy at times in parts of the season, and then have off the field stuff or disappear or whatever, concussions, and so they have some parts and pieces. So it's interesting.
You mentioned Musgrave. I thought that was interesting. You mentioned Musgrave. The exit interview with the exit interview with Matt LaFleur got me really, really intrigued by their plans for Tucker Kraft.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tucker Kraft, 70 targets, 50 catches, 700 yards, 7 touchdowns, like sparingly used, extremely efficient. And then when they asked him, they were like, hey, could he evolve into a Travis Kelce, Kittle type role? And Matt LaFleur was unequivocal in his answer. It was like, yes, we have to find a way to get him more involved. That might be the answer. And
Possibly.
I mean, it's not gonna be an insane volume, but he's very capable. I mean, you've seen, run after catch, he's up there with those. He's up there with the Trey McBrides and George Kittles, and he's that type of athlete with the ball in his hands. I don't know, he didn't test incredibly well, but you can just see it when he gets the ball in his hands. Like, stuff happens and people get moved, and he doesn't get tackled easily. So that might be their answer. I don't know.
We haven't been able to get long stretches of Musgrave being healthy, and maybe it turns into a bit more of a 12 and 21 situation with them, because maybe those two guys could be part of the dominant package. Plus, that they got a good O-line and they can run it, and they do. They have ties back to the Shanahan McVay connection of how to do that. And I felt like the running game was a big missing piece to the Packers, and there was a part of the season there where I was like, damn, Packers are playing decent defense. The run game looks good. It's going to be hard to beat, and then they seem to fall apart a little bit. So, all right, let's keep it moving here. We got at the end of the fourth, we had Trevor, Goff, Laporta. We had Ayuk. We had Dak Prescott at 5.2, Caleb Johnson at 5.3. So rookie running back 3 off the board there. Then we had Bucky at 5.4, Chris Olave 5.5, Kenny 3 sticks at 5.6. Travion Henderson, 5'7". Bryce Young, 5'8". Tyler Warren, 5'9". So Hoodie here has gone 3 of like the top 6 rookies. Luther Burden at 5'10". So I will say it seems like all of the rookies have a little bit of a bump up in this draft. So people getting a little bit more excited about these rookies potentially. There's Higgins at 5'11", Cook at 5'12", Worthy at 6'1", Devonta Smith 6'2", Jacobs 6'3". Tua at 6'4". I'll get your opinion on Tua here in a second. Judkins 2'5", Waddle, or 6'5" rather. Waddle at 6'6", Zay Flowers at 6'7". Derrick Henry at 6'8", can't do it. 6'9", Cam Ward. Shador Sanders 6'10". I commended, because they've been guys that have been going 8-9 round in some of these that we've been doing. So it's nice to see both of them up here, and I think this is more real. We're getting closer and closer to the realistic view of where these two quarterbacks are going to end up once the draft season comes and goes. And for whatever reason, we've these two guys have just been knocked down like they're not pretty good quarterbacks, and I really don't understand it, because I think both of them have just as good a chance as a lot of these guys that have come through over the last 5 years. Obviously, we just had a ridiculous quarterback class, but nobody liked Bo Nix. Nobody liked Michael Penix. I had to fight tooth and nail about Michael Penix every damn show we did. So let's not resist. And some people didn't like Jaden Daniels, and some people didn't like Drake May. So like let's not have revisionist history about that everybody loved these guys. So I think those guys are going to be just fine. Loveland at 6'11", so rookies flying off the board. Egbuka at 6'12", J.J. McCarthy at 7'1", DJ Moore at 7'2", Hawkinson 7'3", Addison 7'4", McLaurin 7'5", Pearsall 7'6", Metcalf 7'7", and Kittle at 7'8". So Pearsall getting some nice love right there. Where do you? Because I usually do these with Big Co. Big Co catching a bye week here. Got the new homie and Chev here holding down the mock now. AKA. Now Big Co will never take Tua. Are you in the same boat of
Yes,
never taking
yes.
Tua?
Bro, yeah, man, we are one hit away from him being fucking scrambled cheese, like scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
We are one hit away. All right. And then he comes out and he's like, nah, man, I'm not gonna wear a Guardian cap. Yeah, that is personal choice. Like,
Yeah.
brother, what do you understand? They can't, like, you can't surgerize your brain and get better. Like, if you get hit again, like, you're gonna be walking around like laughing at your own farts and like blowing snot bubbles. Like, what are we doing? And on top of that, we don't really have a confirmed ceiling for Tua. And if we do, it's quarterback 11. And that's with everything going perfect. Now Tyreek Hill doesn't know if he wants to be there or not. There's a terrible culture that's been hinted at by Josh, whatever his name is, Josh McDaniel, or what's his name?
Mike
McDaniel. Yes. Mike McDaniel's hinted at a terrible culture where everybody just shows up late and they fine him and he's like, well, I just made $200,000 selling T-shirts. So I don't care about that. Like there's no reason for me to go ahead and pull Tua off the board when, I can just take one of I would rather take a shot on one of these rookies or JJ McCarthy that he pans out.
Yeah.
Than, hey, one hit away, Tua being done and you being out of a quarterback 2 in a Superflex league.
Yeah. So we did an exercise last night on Patreon. Shout out to Big D and Doug. Where we
love that episode. I just listened to that not too long ago.
We took all the positional groups and put them together, and then just Big D had us guess which ones were from week 10 on in the season, which grouping was, for the tight ends, who was the top 5 in those categories, who was the top 5 for rushing, who was the top 5 and wide receivers, and then the total offense, Miami was top 5 from 10 out. So like it's there. I understand the sentiment of what Tua is. I would say the ceiling of like if Tua's operating that offense, Tua is a very startable QB2. And you're getting him here late, and I understand that there's obviously huge concerns for and that I wouldn't be I'll still take Tua. I'll put it that way. If you're gonna give me 7th round Tua, I'll take him. Because
I respect it. I just I don't scare easy, and that scares the piss out of me.
Yeah,
when it comes to Tua.
What I didn't like was the last one that he got was like it was almost like it was in like I was like, what are you doing right now? Like, why are you anywhere near this man? Just fall down, Bo. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying.
It's
like he's like, yeah, I'll die out here. I'll die for this shit. And it's like, bro, you could have just slid.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, everyone's gonna be all right with the result. We all know what it is. We're good. But no,
I just like I said, it's a combination of things. Tua's fine as like a regular NFL quarterback, but I can't have him as my quarterback too, man. I cannot personally do it in good conscience.
Would you rather have JJ McCarthy?
See.
Where are you taking JJ McCarthy? Would you rather have JJ McCarthy over Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders?
Oh, that's so okay. So we're asking the tough questions tonight, huh, Casey? Okay. All right. Okay. I think that knowing what the Vikings offense has meant to quarterbacks over the last 2 years, I would take JJ McCarthy over Cam Ward and Shedeur. Yeah. Like I think JJ McCarthy, if he was in this class, would be the quarterback 1.
Yes, I could agree with that, mostly because of the slander on these other 2 guys. I think when careers are all said and done. Go ahead.
So to be fair, like the reason I say that is because I think that, and I think that we already know about the offensive environment in Minnesota.
Yes.
So, and we know what that's meant for fantasy quarterbacks. So for me, it's like, all right, I know where he is. He's been in the offense for a year already. And we've seen what quarterbacks who we think might be lesser than, like Kirk Cousins, was playing great ball before he got hurt. Sam Darnold comes in, complete reclamation project, goes out 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns. He melts down and turns back into Sam Darnold in the last 2 games of the season. But we did get like a QB 8 performance from him. So JJ McCarthy adds more on the ground, in my opinion. And you're going to be a young, moldable, and you get Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and
Right.
whoever they decide to go with at running back. So, yeah, I would have to go JJ McCarthy.
The only question we don't know is, can he play? It's the only question we don't know, right? Everything's great. You love the situation.
I mean, we have that question about the two rookies too, right?
Of course. Yes, certainly. So I like the, tiebreaker for me could certainly be that the environment is top notch, and we know that quarterback of probably any other position is as much of that outcome is tied to the environment of just about anybody, anywhere, anytime, right? So, I would like to see Cam Ward go to the Browns. If that happened, I'd feel pretty good about that. Now, the Browns are cursed, but I do like everything that could be potentially there and around him, and a good defense. And, I think Stefanski can coach. I agree.
I mean, we've seen it happen too many times. It's happened with everybody except Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think I said on our last show with Austin, I said, hey, if he goes to the Titans, that's not a needle mover. I'm a Titans fan.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a needle mover if he goes to the Titans. If he goes to the Browns with Kevin Stefanski, with Jerry Jeudy, with David Njoku, that scheme, Cedric Till, Big Till, like, hopefully he's all healed up from the concussion. Like, we take brain injuries real serious. Like, hopefully he's good. And we can get him, we can get him back into the fold.
1,000%.
Like, that's a whole cabinet of weapons you're walking into that just sets you up for fantasy success. And if their O-line gets back healthy again, because they had a bunch of injuries on the O-line. So yeah, I would love him in Cleveland. Hell, I'd love him in New York.
Yeah, I like either one of those guys in there in New York. Yeah. I don't love Shedeur in Cleveland for some reason. That just feels like, just vibe-wise, I don't know if it's gonna fit, but
it does. No, I don't think Papa Prime is gonna let that fly, bro.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he's.
I don't think he's gonna
like
let that fly.
We've seen Cam Ward hang out in Washington State. He can hang out in some weather. He'll be all right. I don't know if Shedeur wants to. Obviously, Shedeur was just playing in Colorado, but I don't know if the family's going to be down with, having to spend half their year in Cleveland.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I think that's one of the things where Coach Prime. Dion comes in and is like, yeah, nah, my son ain't playing here.
Yeah.
Like,
all right. Let's.
And he said he would do that. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. There was a noise you made when Kenny Walker went at 5'6". Was that a good noise or a bad noise?
Well, Kenny Walker's a Memphis boy, so he's got a soft spot in my heart automatically. And I think the world of him as a talent.
Yes.
The problem is, every single year we're dealing with some sort of nagging injury. The rookie year, he jams his ankle into the ground all weird, and he misses a couple weeks in the fantasy playoffs, and I lost because of it. And then the next year, he's got the nagging injuries. This year, he's got the groin injury. Now we're going to get jazzed up again because Clint Kubiak's bringing his daddy's wide zone, and that's going to be, Kenneth Walker averages 4.5 yards a carry on wide zone and 4 yards a carry on everything else. There's no question about what type of talent Ken Walker is. And now we know he can catch passes too. So, like, holy shit. Like, this could be it. Like, this could be, Alvin Kamara redo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zach Charbonnet is really good. Don't get me wrong. Guys, don't chew me up in the comments about Zach Charbonnet. I don't care. I'm biased towards Ken Walker, but I understand that
I think Sharps is good too, but Kenny's just on another level. Like, Kenny is talent-wise as solidly in like the top 10 of running backs for me, if healthy and the talent of a pure running back is through the roof with Kenny.
Yeah, it's just, well, how many games are we gonna get?
Right,
that's my question. That's the problem.
It's fair. It's the only thing that's keeping him out of being a third-round startup pick, I think, right now. But I've seen him at 6'8", so at 5'6", I was like, some respect on Kenny. I like it. How about Bucky or Omarion, Travion? Like, basically, Caleb, Travion, Omarion, or Bucky. Where would you put Bucky in that mix of running backs? Would you rather have Bucky than the rookies because we know what Bucky is now, or would we rather have? I know Omarion's number one in that category for you, so we could start there. What's your thoughts on that coming into this RB class?
Man, it's gonna be really hard for me to take. It's gonna be. let's say Omarion goes to Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Los Angeles, the Chargers, obviously, or Dallas. Like I will probably take Omarion.
Okay.
It's all landing
Just
spot
landing spot
dependent. I mean,
fit.
I love
Okay.
and I mean we've got the BMI in play for Omarion. Obviously, Bucky is as dynamic of a talent as we have in the game. I mean, he averages 5.5 yards a carry. You know, he's playing 50% of the snaps. It puts up over 1,500 yards from scrimmage. Like, there's just so much to love about Bucky. But the problem is we're assuming that he's going to jump forward in the amount of snaps that he's playing. I mean, he did all of that I just said, 5.5 yards a carry, 1,500 yards from scrimmage. He did all that on 40 some odd percent of the snaps. And you saw early, like when he first got the workload, I mean, he got torn up, like real torn up. I mean, he had 28 touches versus the Panthers. The next week against the Raiders, I believe, he goes and gets like 3 touches and leaves the game.
Mm-hmm.
So can he hold up over the course of a 17 game season with 20 opportunities a game, be it 15 in the passing game, 15 in the run game, 5 in the pass game.
Mm-hmm.
So I would take the bigger guys here, and because they're probably going to have draft capital and landing spot to go ahead and get an equal workload, and they're just bigger.
Yeah. So did we just stumble upon that you're a sizist? Is that what just happened here?
I'm a little bit
100%.
of a sizist just because we have the information. Like, hey, like we gave Bucky Irving 28 touches in the next week. He missed.
Fair enough, I guess.
I'm not like again
stretch. Small sample size.
Again. hey, it is in fact a small sample size. We just saw Kyron Williams hold up to like 350 touches. Ooh, that was a nice crack, boys.
Clean.
Yeah. Don't try to distract me from what I'm trying to say with my sizist arguments.
Sizist.
I'm here. We're here.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've seen Kyron Williams hold up to it. That was one of my biggest questions about Kyron Williams, even though I was in on Kyron Williams, was could he hold up to that type of crazy workhorse volume? So I'm hoping the same for Bucky Irving. And if that is the case, that's a smash here. I mean, we're seeing right now Bucky Irving or Breece Hall in on Keep Trade Cut. We're seeing it like actual people posting content saying, yeah, I would rather have Bucky Irving than Jonathan Taylor right now.
Y'all are crazy.
It's like,
y'all are crazy.
guys,
that's why you don't use Keep Trade Cut. That's the homeless shelter of value determination. Like, the boys are making you click boxes before you get out of here with that. As soon as somebody says Keep Trade Cut, if you find somebody that uses Keep Trade Cut, just keep trading with them. Like, that's just, they got bad read on value. That's just if that's all you can come up with and that's what you're going to use, like, come on, man. You got to, if you're a Dynasty show and you're using Keep Trade Cut, give me a fucking break.
You don't
Think
love
for yourself.
You don't love getting the screenshot. Like, Keep Trade Cut says it's even, bro.
You send me a calculator, we're fighting. Like, you can use a calculator if you don't know what
I found my wolf pack.
You can use a calculator and when you're new at this to make sure you're not getting beat, and that's fine. Like, that's okay. If you don't know what you're doing and you just want to gauge the value a little bit, that's cool. But like, if you've been playing for a while and you're throwing calculators at me, get away from me. I can't. Nah.
Yeah,
no.
I used to respond irrationally if somebody sent me a screenshot of a trade calculator.
Yeah,
like,
can't do it.
Don't ever DM me again. Like, irrationally.
Don't you come out here disrespecting me, looking like you know.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. It really irritates me when somebody sends me a screenshot of a trade calculator.
All right, let's jump back in here because I see some good values on the board. We're in the 7th round here. DJ Moore at 7.2, DK Metcalf at 7.7, Addison at 7.4, Pittman at 7.9. All those guys are nice picks for me right there. I don't know how you feel about. I like all those guys, and to be in the 7th round of. Yeah, those are guys who can put up easy wide receiver 1 numbers, right?
Casey, you got to talk to me here. You got to talk to me here, brother.
Yeah.
You got to talk to me here. What is it with Michael Pittman?
What do you mean?
What do you? I personally, like, I have shit stains in my pants about how afraid I am of Michael Pittman.
How many
Because-
1,000-yard seasons did he
Because
have
of
in a row?
what? Just
Because-
quarterback play?
Watching Anthony Richardson play football.
That's why he's there, right? You know,
Built in,
that's fair. We can be worried about that, but at 7-9, I'm not worried about that. They're either going to fix it and move on and go somewhere else, or Anthony Richardson's even going to fix it and figure it out, or they're going to move on to someone else. Like, that's what they're going to do. Like, Michael Pittman's at 7-9. I'll take that shot all day long. So Michael Pittman's the only one you might have a problem with. You good with DK and DJ Moore, or not really?
I love DJ Moore. I'm so on DK. I think that we saw the changing of the guard in Seattle this year. We're looking at in 2024, 108 targets in 15 games. That's his lowest since his rookie year, where he only started like 12 games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we've seen the changing of the guard. I think that it's easier, or maybe just Ryan Grubb and the offensive coordinator, or Shane Waldron's pretty bad. Maybe the last two offensive coordinators could not figure out how to get the ball. Dave Canales even couldn't figure out how to get the ball into DK Metcalf's hands efficiently. And I think that's because he has a limited profile. I mean, he's a freak athletically, and yes, you'll see those things, and that'll get you, into like, oh, well, we could go back to 2019 or 2020 when he had 80 catches for 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. Like, we could, hey, we're just a few good end zone targets away from that happening again. Like, I personally don't want to get left holding the bag for that. So him and Pittman at this current ADP, I just can't bring myself to do it.
You're crazy. Show me. Point.
Let's talk about it.
Point to other guys below him, not named George Pickens, that you'd rather have over him, though.
That I would rather have over Michael Pittman, or
DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, whomever.
His teammate, Josh Downs.
You'd rather have Josh Downs? Okay.
Yes. I would rather have Josh Downs.
Because of the value of Josh Downs, or you'd rather have Josh Downs straight up?
I would rather have Josh Downs straight up than Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
Like, I think as a slot receiver, which I think he can do more than that, but we're limited in what we can expect from a passing offensive ceiling with Anthony Richardson. I think that Josh Downs is going to offer you more consistency in that offense, and I just think that he's better. I mean, he has a longer term future with the team. He's 23 years old. They were even in targets this year. He puts up the same amount of yards,
He had
803 to 808.
Pittman had a broken back. He had to have a
Doctor
backiotomy
said, "I need a backiotomy."
in the middle of the season, and my man should have been shut down.
Well, he should have shut that shit down, and then I wouldn't have
Warrior.
had to watch him be so bad. No, bro, no. If you suit up and you take the Toradol, I need you to fucking perform, okay? I need it.
Well, I don't think he
And he has no touchdown ceiling.
Why doesn't he have a touchdown ceiling?
Because he does. I mean, he does score touchdowns.
Just saying, in his career.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yes.
Fair enough.
I mean, 88 for 1,032, or 1088 or somewhere around there, and 6. That's
yes.
And 6.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we're capped out at.
But he's basically had 1,000 yards.
McLaurin type of ascension, and be like, yes, I'm awesome. I just needed good quarterback play to be awesome. But I haven't seen that, and I don't see the same things I saw out of a guy like Terry McLaurin to make me believe that we're just a quarterback away from him being, fantasy dominant again.
Well, in one regard, you're certainly not going to be where Terry McLaurin is. We knew that if Terry McLaurin got a guy, that he would be, a top 10 fantasy asset, because he's had flashes of that. I just need the volume for Pittman, and we've seen Pittman be productive with volume, right? Like, I mean, he may not be scoring touchdowns, but he's had 1,000 yards pretty much every season outside of his rookie season. And then obviously,
I mean, ever since he became a full-time player, he's
obviously
gone over
last year
1,000
he only
yards.
had 808, but he had a broken back for a stretch of the season, and their quarterback play was not great, right? So I can.
I mean, 2022, he gets 140 targets and turns that into 925 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like, I've wanted to see the growth, and I just haven't. Like, unless he's gonna get 150 targets, like I'm not. And then Josh Downs and AD Mitchell, 2 guys that I really, really like.
Not worried
I
about
would
AD
just rather
Mitchell.
wait. Say what?
Not worried about AD Mitchell taking targets.
Don't be worried about him.
From
Hey,
listen, if
we're just sneaking. Hey, we're gonna sneak him right.
the only
door.
time you need to worry about AD Mitchell is if they actually have a good quarterback play who could distribute it between. Because if it ain't, it's going to Michael Pittman and it's going to Downs, and that's about it. And you'll get some shots from here and there. I think personally that they did a bad job of managing where the ball needs to go with Anthony Richardson last year, and we know for a fact that Anthony Richardson was not preparing the way he needs to prepare. So, again, just like Kyler Murray, if Anthony Richardson is going to come in, and which is odd because at face value, it was Anthony Richardson was a worker and smart and does his thing. And now you had feedback of quite the opposite of guys having to be like, hey, man, we need you to take this more serious and show up and put extra work in. And I need you to be Jaden Daniels. I don't need you to be Kyler Murray, right? So,
for sure.
If Richardson takes the step of being involved and the want to improves and the work improves, I'm not that worried about the receiving situation there. I think Anthony Richardson could be good enough to get it done. But if he doesn't, it's a lost season for
Anthony
the Colts again.
For a while.
What's that?
I'm not hopeful.
You're not.
I said
hopeful.
I'm a Florida fan, so I've watched him for a long time. Like going back to the QB1, like high school, like the show days, like I just don't see it. And another thing is like one thing that I've realized that I'm pretty keyed up against is guys who only have like one real season playing quarterback in college.
Right.
Like Mitchell Trubisky.
That's the opposite.
Trey Lance.
Right. That's the reason why I'm okay.
I don't like
with buying. Like I'm okay with buying in because I liked where he went. I liked the quarterback. The guy who was developing had success with developing other quarterbacks, and he hadn't played a whole lot. So I was okay, and the tools were off the charts. So I'm like, all right, I'll take the tools, I'll take the development. But he wasn't working at the development, so that for me is the dagger in it. And if it changes, then I'm still in on Anthony Richardson because we're talking about fantasy, not actual playing the quarterback position. You know, as far as leading a team, I mean, right?
That's the issue, though. Like him playing quarterback, he's not running.
But
he's not running. He's not doing the thing that made him fantasy relevant as a rookie. He wasn't giving you that, and he was giving you 48% completion percentage on 20 throws a game. So that's what the real quarterback play in fantasy directly interfere with each other.
They certainly can, but from the aspect that I'm talking about right now of him change, it's either going to be like, hey, I can change these things and I'm going to be a good fantasy quarterback and I'll buy myself some more time because I'm changing these things and we're seeing a little bit of evolution, or I'm going to be out and be on another team and maybe then it'll hit me that I need to change some shit. Right. And we did the same thing with Fields for a minute. We had to after a few seasons, it was like, hey, the writing's on the wall for me where I'm ready to get out and then I'll get back in when it gets cheaper. And he just, the processing for me wasn't there for Fields, right? It wasn't like you could just see that he can do all the things. And when he plays, he's an awesome startable fantasy quarterback. But, the leash gets shorter and shorter. And then by your second time and then by your third time of being somewhere else, now that gap is really shrunk and you're really on a short leash of, how much time you get to be the starter for the team. So Anthony Richardson is in this probationary period right now. And I agree with, I don't know what was going on last year. That's my biggest caveat here for Anthony Richardson moving forward, because I do think that I watched every single game of Anthony Richardson last year because I had to know exactly what was going on. And there'd be stretches where you're like, oh my God, what's going on? And then there's stretches where it's like, damn, he just took them boys all the way down the field with the ridiculous drive and won the game, or, put the team on his back and went down there and made a bunch of good. So it's the parts and pieces are there. We just got to hone them in. And I don't know. We don't know if that's possible or not yet.
Well, man, that's the trickiest part about playing quarterback is like there's a bunch of guys who can do it every now and then. Like the franchise guys are the ones that like consistently can give it to you. So I agree with you. We've got to see whether or not he takes a leap as a professional and being a professional. But yeah, I didn't intend to hang us up on that.
No, I like it.
Yeah. I'm mad at myself because at one point in the offseason last year, I started to buy into what his ceiling could be without ignoring all the things that I had watched.
You should buy into that. Because that's at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to get. You're trying to get game breakers, and we haven't seen too many guys be able to score 21 points in a quarter, and we've seen Anthony Richardson do that so if we could put this thing together and work, like that's what I want to be buying into, right? And now maybe we shouldn't have talked ourselves into him being 1-2 or 1-3 or 1-4 in a Superflex startup draft or a Superflex rookie mock, I guess, but. I'm okay.
Right.
Like I'm really always going to be okay with taking those shots on the tools, especially like we mentioned it. Like I felt really comfortable about, like I said, the development and the situation of the Colts that he was walking into. I liked it. I liked what was there. I liked Steichen, but maybe it's all wrong and maybe he doesn't want to work. I don't know. So
yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving. We go ahead.
All right, shout out to James. We got a super chat question.
All right.
So I think those go right to the top.
Sure.
He said he's in a dilemma and needs a player to put in his third flex spot. So it must be that's a humble flex there. Someone offered him Jonathan Taylor for 226 first. He thinks he'll be late. It is super flex. I mean, I'm cool with doing that, right?
If you got a good team and that he's going in if you got a competitive team and he's going in your third flex,
that's what it said.
For 2 firsts in the following year, and you think that they'll most likely be late, I'm okay with that. Like for me,
really know they're late. I guess if yours is late and you're stacked, at least one will be late.
Right.
It's hard to predict who's going to be late 2 years from now.
For me, JT is one of the bigger buys. I love the way he was down the stretch. He looked right. Their offensive line, was better, getting better. At one point, they were just mixing and matching, trying to get that O-line right. But JT's in the buckets of running backs. JT's in the buckets of Saquon's and Christian McCaffrey's, and he's done that. He's been there. He can do that. He has the capability of being that game-changing running back for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, again, the biggest question is what is the quarterback position? But the quarterback and him can be synonymous. Like that's the game that y'all should be playing anyway. You should be playing running around with Anthony Richardson and running with Jonathan Taylor, and then picking the easy throw when you're in motion on a boot or whatever to Pittman or Downs, right? To me, that's the game that you should be playing with them. So I don't know how you feel about that, Chev.
I absolutely love that. If you're a contender, that pick is not gonna put that late first is likely not gonna put you over the top, especially if you're already contending. JT's coming off a 1,400-yard season in 14 games, if I'm not mistaken, 10 touchdowns. We talked about how shaky the offensive line was at different points in the season. He comes in week 16. He gives you 218 yards. He could have broke the rushing record, but they took him out against the Titans. And I think that going into 2025, if we have more clarity, just more clarity with what the offensive attack approach is going to be, rushing quarterbacks raise the floors of their running backs just because there's one less guy coming off the end of the line of scrimmage because they've got to account for a quarterback keeping it on a read option.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at 1,400 yards for a guy, and this is a guy that has a top 3 ceiling. We've seen him finish overall RB1. I don't think that he could finish RB1 if everyone is healthy, but you're looking at basically Derrick Henry light on a year-in, year-out basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I like it. Thanks for the comment and question. I'm all in. Chev's all in. Jason's all in. So everybody's all in. That's 3 for 3.
Sweep it.
Sweep the leg.
Alex put a little poll up. I think it's also going Jonathan Taylor. So,
all right, we got it surrounded. Tyrone Tracy coming in at 9.9 here. Back to this draft real quick because we've been chatting. I like Trey Harris at 9.11. That's going to jump up way higher. Trey Harris is going to be up there with the Agbukas of the world. Like he should be right there with him in that 6th round. I think when it's all said and done, those two are going to be battling for the wide receiver 3 spot in this class, if not the wide receiver 2 spot for some people because they don't like Burden or whatever. But I think when all the analytics get settled out, all the film people come back, Trey Harris gets healthy. There's just not that many guys like Trey Harris in this draft, and I think people are really going to be salivating and all over Trey Harris here at some point. We just haven't peak Trey Harris propaganda yet.
5 yards per route run versus man. 5 yards per route run versus man in 2024. Like, I don't understand what there is not. Like, if you love Jackson Dart, how can you not turn on the film and be like, hey, who's this guy just making all these plays for Jackson Dart? Like, if you watch Jackson Dart, you can't help but to notice Trey Harris. So
Yeah.
I'm not really understanding what the disconnect is between, hey, this guy was awesome and dominant, and well, I don't know how he's gonna test, and that's a big deal for me. It's like that.
Right.
What else do you want to see?
How he tests is completely irrelevant to me. I just there's a monster
Yeah,
out
that's
there
what I'm
on
saying.
that field.
What do you want to see? What more do you want to see from a guy? He dominated
Yeah.
in one of the 2 best conferences. It used to be the best conference without question in college football.
Yeah.
It's like, what else do you want to see?
Nah, he's got the man amongst boys feel out there, and I'm good. I don't really need to see anything else. Like, but I do think it's all going to catch up and really explode. I feel like he's really forgotten about it. Feels like a cheat code right now in drafts because I could just scoop Trey Harris up kind of wherever, whenever, and wherever I want. Especially these startup mocks. Your boy Travis Hunter's there at 8.10. We got Devin Neal at 9.2, picking out some rookies here. Dylan Sampson at 10.12. ET at 9.1. I love that value. And now I'm sure you don't like ET.
I don't mind. I mean, I think that.
Wait a minute. So you're
it can't get worse.
You're gonna give it a nonchalant 9.1 ET. I don't mind.
It's not. I mean, can it get worse?
No.
Can
I
it get
mean,
worse?
the Jags were
Can
awful.
you go from RB3 in 2023 to what he did in 2024? And like I don't understand. Like, did the Monstars come and steal his fucking powers? Like, what? I don't understand. I don't know what just happened.
He wears a visor every Sunday. I'll tell you that's what happened.
I mean, are we like
Doug Peterson's
did the visor steal his powers?
Doug Peterson's what happened. I don't know what the hell they were doing over there. But
so now he gets. I think it's a tremendous value, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Now he gets a guy who revived the Tampa Bay run game. We were talking about how awful Rashad White is. See, I'm getting Rashard and Brashard mixed up. Like, so now we're talking about a guy who revived the Tampa run game. Dave Canales was determined to pound it. Liam Cohen comes in. They draft Graham Barton, play him at center. All of a sudden, they're averaging 145 yards a game on the ground. Now, Travis Etienne gets the guy who revived that run game, and I think he's going to be able to do the same in Jacksonville. All they've got to do is just keep everything intact, and this is a smash pick at 9-1.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I one other thing before we at the end we usually touch on a couple teams that you like or dislike their build here. So we'll do that in just a minute. But I just wanted to touch on, as I've been going through these, I've been realizing kind of just the tight end value right now is so good. I mean, obviously we came off a year coming into this year where tight ends were making a move. Guys like Cole Kmet the year before had in tight end premium were scoring DK Metcalf kind of points. And nobody even cared about Cole Kmet, but like, so the big dogs were really crushing. And like in the 10th round, you're getting Kincaid and Andrews. Now you think whatever you want about Kincaid or Andrews at this point. I really doesn't matter. It's the 10th round. They could be killers. Otten, Pitts, again, I don't care what you think about Pitts. It's the 12th round. Pitts thing seems like an effort thing right now. Like, I don't know if what kind of happened to him, but it seemed like he's not always dialed in and exactly where he needs to be. But regardless, JT Sanders, Isaiah Likely, Dallas Goedert, Ferguson, Komet, Jonnu Smith, Evan Ingram, Arroyo, a rookie, Theo Johnson at 16, like Evan Ingram's in the 14th round, Jonnu Smith in the 14th round, Komet in the 13th round, Ferguson in the 13th, Scott in the 13th round, Isaiah Likely in the 13th round. Like, the value on tight ends right now in these drafts is so good, right? I can go take a guy like a Tyler Warren in the 6th round or whatever, and I can come back and draft 3 more killers like Evan Ingram, who's got a real good chance to be, we've seen him put up big numbers, and he's basically a receiver out there. Jonnu just had a good season. I think Komet has a chance to have a good season with Ben Johnson and Caleb. Goddard's been a top 5 tight end at times, right? And just kind of had a nice little resurgence of being healthy. Ferguson, everyone's forgotten, what are the Cowboys doing at wide receiver? And like, are they going to bring in somebody? Are they going to draft somebody? What are they going to do? But Ferguson's always been a nice safety blanket for Dak. Easy tight end premium points. Like, that's 10, 12 points walking fairly easy. So I think there's some good tight end value right now going on in these early startup mocks.
Yeah, I think so. I think the trick here with a lot of it is a lot of, like, Jonnu Smith is out of sight, out of mind. Like, you got to scroll way down there
Right.
to get Jonnu Smith. Like, and I think that's what, one of the things like, hey, free game here. I would go in, and some of the guys that like Chase Brown's way down there in drafts. But to stay with the tight ends, yeah, this is incredible value. Cole Kmet's one of my biggest trade for targets in the offseason. I think that he's got the contract security. Ben Johnson, we saw what he did with Sam Laporta the last 2 years. Even though Sam Laporta did kind of fade, he lost 40 targets this year because Jameson Williams emerged. I still think that he's going to be a tremendous red zone threat. And we've already seen that, out of his profile in broken offenses for the better part of his career. And then, I mean, Jonnu was the primary target in the Dolphins offense from weeks 10 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
So those are 2 guys that I'm just like, they get me bricked up in the cement aisle. I mean, I could, Jake Ferguson, sure. Dallas Goedert, they don't throw the ball enough for me to be super duper excited about. You roasted me in one mock draft because I took JT Sanders a little early, but I think, if they don't go receiver early, I think that's going to be the Jalen Coker, Jatavian Sanders show in Carolina, in Charlotte this year. So, and then Isaiah Likely, I mean, Mark Andrews is still
Sure.
Mark Andrews. He's a touchdown scoring machine. And if you're going to just put him now into the category of touchdown dependent tight ends, he's the best one. I mean, he's got, 50 some odd career touchdowns in 57 starts. So there's no better guy if you're going to go with a late round option for a tight end. If you're going to punt tight end basically in a startup, you can get him in the 10th round, and then you can come back and get a guy like Jonnu Smith in the 14th. So
yeah,
like, this is incredible value.
Yeah, no, I'm really liking what you can get at tight end here, and then even Joku in the 8th, 9th round sometimes even he might even stretch into the 10th is good stuff. And with Likely, you could say, hey, you might be waiting on him, but it's round 13, and when he gets the opportunity to be the guy, there's just not that many guys who move around like he does from the tight end position in the NFL right now.
Right.
And we know that at some point this is going to be Likely's role. I can't imagine the Ravens are going to let Likely walk. That would be crazy to me.
No, he's their slot receiver. He's what Sean Payton talks about when he's talking about like a joker role.
Yeah.
Like that's what Isaiah Likely is. And make no mistake about it. Like, listen to me now when I tell you, if he steps into a full-time role, he's a top 5 tight end in the NFL.
Yes.
And for fantasy purposes.
Yes.
Without question.
For sure. All right, let's jump to pick. Show me a team that you like the draft strategy or kind of what they were going on to. Just looking real quick at just not even names but boxes. The first one I'm kind of drawn to are the 7 and the 9. I just like the way that they kind of went through some things. Now, when I look at the actual picks, you could vary what you're doing there, but Burrow, Caleb Williams, this is the 7 spot. and then JSN, Roma Dunze, Kenny Walker, Zay Flowers, Pearsall, Evans, Godwin. Then they go with a stack of running backs, Connor, Benson, Brian Robinson. Then they take a tight end, and then Coker's a shot. RJ Harvey and Algier. So I like the box coloration and the strategy of how they pick their players. I don't love every player that they picked per se, but I don't hate most of the players that they picked. They're a pretty versatile build there. So that was kind of one that just stood out to me as far as like strategy of hammering the wide receivers. You grabbed the potential workhorse back, and then you filled in with some other backs, and you got Connor and the handcuff and Brian Robinson, and then a shot on a rookie, and I think you did fine in finding you a tight end that could be reasonable week in, week out. And obviously you didn't finish the draft here. Godwin could be awesome. Evans is probably still good. Pearsall's young. Yeah, I like Zay. So I like the strategy and theory of kind of what this person was thinking in, how they constructed their team.
Yeah. I'm in the 3 spot here. I absolutely love what this team did. You got Lamar. So you come out of the gate hot. You got a top 2 producing quarterback in fantasy. He was the number 1 quarterback this year. He's going to be 1 or 2 in any year where he plays 17 games. Lamar, then you come back with Brian Thomas, who, getting him in the second round is just incredible value. We've seen what the alpha wide receiver does in a Liam Cohen offense, and we saw what Brian Thomas did, and he's got all the traits. Then arguably the second, you could put him at tight end 1, but I mean, he's tight end 2. That's tremendous value. There's just value all over the place.
Yeah.
I told you how much I like Baker Mayfield. Then we come back with our boy Luther Burton. Then you come back with 2 workhorses with unquestioned workhorse roles.
Yes.
Then you take upside swings that Jamison Williams and Jerry Jeudy could take another step forward in 2025. Then you go get Mark Andrews, tremendous value to pair with Trey McBride. And I mean, that's a spike week waiting to happen if you just happen to have to start him during a bye week, or, and then, I mean, Cam Scatterbo, I really like his film. I think that he's going to get shat on because, he's an exciting one, and he's playing running back. And I think that we're gonna look back at this and be like, yeah, you saw this motherfucker in college, right?
Yeah.
Like you saw, like, just run through a motherfucker's face all the time. Just, hey, I'm on 10 no matter what.
Right.
So that's tremendous value. Then you got my boy,
Jaden Higgins.
You got Jaden Higgins.
Yep.
Whew. And then before I love Jaden Higgins, I love Darnell Mooney.
Oh, still love him. Loved him.
And then I like Fields. That's a great upside swing.
Sure.
J.K. Dobbins.
Oh, great.
J.K. Dobbins.
Great pick there to backfill in some production potentially here if you need it.
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
So I mean, you're a little thin at running back, but you can trade for running backs. And if you're starting up and you do a rookie draft separate from this startup, there's so much running back value to be had.
Yeah.
In the in your rookie draft.
Well, we only drafted
so you finish out with that fire move, whatever.
We would typically be drafting 25 or 28 or something like that, and you'd grab some more depth. But yeah, no, I like that team a lot. I like Dan's team over here at the 1-6. There's a spot here where I would probably do a few different things. Like this Fannin Martinez Milrow run, we could switch that up, and I could really, really like this team. And I like Fanning or Fannin. Martinez that's the earliest I've ever seen him go. Not but I like. I can't take Milrow at 17. I can't take Martinez at 10. But then Tillman, Jonnu, great picks there. We just talked about those. You took Fannin early, which I like, and then you paired the rookie with 2 veterans. Love that. Tight end wise, you got Tillman, who I like, and then your last 2 picks, I love them. 2 just huge handcuff potentials of Wright and Braylon Allen. to go with, you got Gibbs and Henderson, who I think is going to be good. So, your running back situation's a little light, but I like your receivers. I like your quarterbacks. I would just change out Milroe to, Sam Darnold or something, or just anybody a little different than any pick different than Milroe for me there.
Like if you're gonna pick a quarterback who's not really gonna give you much, just take Justin Fields there if you're gonna reach on a guy.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I like it. What do you got?
Yeah, love that.
We got another super chat.
All right, hit me up with it, and then we're out. See, last question.
Well, Ed wants to know if Caleb's a good fit with. Is Ben Johnson a good fit with?
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Come on, for $2. I mean, yeah, he should be a good fit. Derek, what's up, dude? He said he just did a trade. He traded Fields, Ford, and the 312 for Tank and the 28.
Fields,
Ford,
Jerome Ford,
and 312.
312
for Tank and the 28. I think he sold low on Fields. It is Superflex. I don't know.
I can't get down with giving up a quarterback without getting something back.
Yeah, he's not dead. It seemed like he's dead.
Yeah, I mean,
well, Russell played, but
yeah, he's 25. He went 4-2. He had 10 touchdowns. He had 10 touchdowns in his 6 starts. Like he threw you a quarterback 1 week in there somewhere, and now they're talking about bringing. Like I don't know what they're gonna do with him, but you can't write him off. I mean, we just saw Sam Darnold go through have to wander through the desert to find his next fucking job. So this is a guy who could give you easy quarterback one upside if he lands in the right situation.
Yeah, no, I'm 2-8 I think is going to end up being a good pick for the most part. Jerome Ford is a nice player. Like I think he can give you some back end fill in work. We've seen Ford be solid. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's for me it's basically kind of Fields for Tank Bigsby and 2-8.
Yeah. Never. Not even if there's a fire.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm not terribly bullish. I think ET takes that rollback hot and heavy. We'll see what happens in a year unless they trade him. I think Tank's fine. The 2-8's going to be a good pick, and I think a lot of people would say getting a second for Fields right now is good value, and you throw Tank on top of that. I think I understand kind of where you're getting at, but I just have a hard time of just letting Fields go at this point for everything we've kind of talked about with quarterbacks and how if he's on the field he scores big fantasy points, and to completely write him off with as much talent as he has is a bit crazy, right?
Like let's say for instance, the Jets do Jet shit, and then they decide to give the Steelers like a third for him, or he's a free agent now. Like they just go and say, hey, we'll just take a bridge guy. Here's 2 years, $40 million. Just let's try it. I mean, they were gonna do it. They were gonna do it with Tyrod.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many outcomes where Justin Fields has a path to success more so, and a path to success and like longer term sustainable success than Tank Bigsby.
Yeah.
And the 2-8's gonna be
it's gonna be there.
I mean,
for Fields, right?
Yeah.
That pick should when he's playing, right? People are always gonna be hesitant of saying, just like they have been with Sam Darnold, like because that value went from, hey, you might could get a 2 before the season starts to, oh, you could definitely get a first, and now we're back down to like, maybe I'll give you a 2 for him. And I feel like Fields is kind of the same ish way as like trajectory wise, but it took Darnold a while to be on the field before people were like. Every week it was debating when the wheels are going to fall off of that thing. And what you're not going to debate is the fantasy points that Fields is scoring when he's in the lineup. But I feel like that 2-8 will always be there. I don't know how much the needle is going to move up on Fields unless we get a longer sustained success and it looks like he could settle in somewhere. But I feel like that trade will be there for Fields for a while. So I don't feel that I have to pull the trigger on it because the bottom's going to fall out.
Right. Like we're not, you're not trying to catch a falling knife there, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think I like the field side on that one. So, and yes, Ed, I do think that Ben Johnson is going to be a good fit with Caleb Williams, and you know that.
But what if Caleb decides not to play on schedule and then the offense can't quite function in the manner in which it's supposed to?
I don't know how true it was, but at one point I read something that said that Caleb was having to like run his own meetings. And like,
Yeah, because Shane Waldron wouldn't watch film with him.
yeah, I don't know how true that is.
That's wild. That's
I
wild.
can't like
That's
it's
true.
so ridiculous that it almost has to be true because I don't know why you would, but like that doesn't seem real. So and I don't want to be making excuses for people, but
that's a motherfucker that hates Shane Waldron that put that out there. If that's not true, just absolutely hates him.
I don't know how he gets getting jobs, but he does. And so I mean, here we are. But all right, so this was our first live mock with Chev. We'll be doing plenty more of that. Next week, we'll be going live again, but we're going to do Dynasty trades, not a mock. So bring your Dynasty trades over here, and me and Big Co will be on the 1s and 2s, breaking down your Dynasty trades. And, of course, Jason will be bringing up some graphics. We'll have Dynasty Daddy running in full effect, not that keep, trade, cut trash. We can bring up actual trades from actual leagues. So excited for that. We're going to switch that up every once in a while. We'll do live Dynasty trades in place of the mock. But Mock Draft Monday, we'll keep living on. We'll keep seeing you live. So keep coming back and tuning in at 9:05 Eastern on the YouTube channel. And if you're listening on the pod, I appreciate it. That's why I call out a lot of the picks, because I do know some of y'all listen on the pod when we drop that over there. So I try to keep you abreast of the pick situation that's going on. But as you can tell, we use this for a medium to discuss things as going on whilst also discussing draft value startup things. And, we get into a million different things on here. So it's a fun way to spend your Monday night with the FFD squad. Chev, you got anything on the way out? Where can we find you?
Oh man, I'm at Chev90 on X. You can follow the podcast page at 2guys1pod FF. Also co-host on the Dynasty Pulse, and I host a Titan show on Uncovered_NFL. For those of you, the 12 of you who want to listen to me talk about the Titans and what we should do with the number 1 pick. And that's where you'll find me.
And of course, you'll be finding Chev here weekly on the FF Dynasty. So we're excited about that moving forward. We got a lot of good stuff lined up. We're real close to the combine here, and then we'll have, everything we could possibly need to know about these guys once we know how fast they are in underwear. So, excited for that. Put a big piece of the puzzle together.
Size adjusted speed score.
There's a lot to be gained from it, and I hate to poo-poo it, but when everybody tries to get so amped about it, I'm like, all right, I'm just here so I don't get fined, and I know y'all like it, so I'm with it. But be sure to like, subscribe, comment below, 5-star review if you're listening on the pod. You can enter in the link in the bio here. You can description, whatever medium you're watching or listening on. You can enter in a free T-shirt giveaway for 5-star reviews. So make sure you go, get in that. You might as well get a free tee. It's a strong T-shirt. We got one guy so far who submitted. He's getting a tee. You can bet your ass he's getting a tee. So submit those things. Let's get some 5-star reviews rolling in.
Big Coach just showed up in the chat, late as usual.
Of course. But we'll catch you next time. Keep it locked and loaded with the FFD. Peace.